Tonight, we're diving into a different dimension of the reparations fight, one rooted in healing, not just policy. My guest is Dennae Wright, licensed therapist, sound practitioner, and a serious voice in the movement for economic and emotional justice. Her upcoming event, Reparations and Relaxation, isn't just about feeling good. It's about reconnecting to ourselves while we reclaim what's owed. We're talking ethnic healing, sound therapy, and how rest itself can be resistance. Let's get into it. Yo family, real quick, I'm proud to announce the soft launch of Sincereluvdagod's new book, From the Womb to Illmatic, a hip-hop-inspired blueprint for unlocking your child's inner genius. This ain't your average parenting book, this is for the culture, inspired by Illmatic, built around his own son Seven's early development, and packed with real tools to help parents turn everyday moments into genius-level learning. If you've ever wanted to give your child a head start without losing your roots, this book is for you. Available now on Amazon. Order now and leave a 5-star review. You already know, we raising brilliance around here.
Y'all wanna hop in the game and do the same, selling tickets to your favorite name. Join our trade. Ticket resellers investing in building every day. Join our
We have the easiest way to make money online. As you see over here, there's no MLM, no pyramid scheme, no ads or marketing required, no selling tickets in the streets, and you don't need any labor costs to scale up.
Hey, if you're interested in scaling your ticket business or your business into the millions, like I've done, selling tickets strictly online, 100% online, you'll never catch me out in the streets. Go to thetickettrap.com. Again, thetickettrap.com. All right.
Tonight, we're diving into a different dimension of the reparations.
I'm gonna get this right one day. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get it right one day. Peace, family. What's good? Welcome to another episode of Sincereluvdagod cast. I am the God Sincere Love, back in the house once again with my lovely co-host, Nicety Girl. We in the digital building. What's going on with
Again,
y'all?
back to back.
Back to back.
Back to back.
Back to back. No drizzy.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Did I do that on purpose?
No drizzy. This ain't that.
This ain't that.
Appreciate y'all rocking with us, family. As y'all coming up in here, make sure you hit the like button. Share this out on your social media platforms. Let everybody know that we are live right now. We're going to be talking reparations. We got a special guest. So, get a comfortable seat and get ready to rock with us, man. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live or drop new content on Sincereluvdagod cast. But definitely share this link out. Let everybody know that we live right now because people are not getting the notifications like they should. Like they should. Nicely, I see the shirt.
Got the Cali House shirt on. It's fitting for the topic of the day.
Right.
Cali House was about those reparations even then. So we're going to keep the movement going, the message going, ultimately until we get our check.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, it's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? Different parts of the country, you know what I'm saying, as it pertains to us getting our justice claim. And, there's a lot of different movements bubbling up from the grassroots. and a lot of different, I would say, strategies
Right.
being deployed or employed or whatever the word is, to get this thing done. So it's more than one way to skin a cat. And so we got a special guest tonight that's going to be telling us about some of her strategies and her process in this movement. And so yeah, we about to get into that, man. We ain't going to waste too much time. So let me let y'all know who we got coming to the stage tonight. And am I forgetting anything before I do that? All the little stuff is out the way.
Everything is out the way. I
Stuff
mean,
out the way.
you played the ads. Of course, we didn't necessarily talk about it. Obviously, you guys have to get from the womb to Illmatic.
And you do.
You have to get from the womb to Illmatic, right?
Yeah.
This is a hip hop inspired blueprint for unlocking your child's inner genius,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
So definitely get this on Amazon. You can definitely get the link from his bio on Instagram. And just type in from the womb to Illmatic in Amazon. It'll pop up. This is the
Yeah.
cover, and get it today.
And whether you're watching us live or watching us on the replay, I made it real easy for y'all to just scan the code that you see on your screen right now.
Yep.
And go ahead and get your copy of the book From the Womb to Illmatic. Appreciate the support in advance. Yes, indeed. Okay, so now that that's out the way, let me let y'all know who we got coming to the stage tonight. So tonight we're going to be chopping it up with Dennae Wright. Dennae Wright, LCSW, is a licensed clinical social worker born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, and has called Southern California home since 2006. With deep care and compassion for the state of Black America, she is a committed advocate for economic justice and community healing. Dennae currently practices as an emotionally focused therapist and is certified in sound healing and breath work, integrating holistic practices into mental health care to support emotional transformation and nervous system regulation. And so we finna tie all of that into reparations tonight.
So I need to know.
And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our guest for this evening, Miss Dennae Wright. Welcome to the Godcast,
Hello.
beloved. Can you hear us?
I think she's on mute.
Yeah, and it's a little.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, I was on mute.
There you go. Welcome to the Godcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. Definitely do.
So, Dennae, I didn't know Black people were in Utah.
I know.
Right.
I know. I knew that was going to come up, so I'm prepared. Yes. It's not the first nor the last time that I'll ever hear such a thing. Yes, we're about 1% of this population in Salt Lake City, Utah, but we are there. So
you're there.
Yes.
Well, where aren't we? Where aren't we?
Exactly.
You know?
So, so I was born and raised in Utah. A little bit of my family history. My grandfather was a World War II vet, and my grandmother was basically kind of she was working for the Union Station Railroad. And so that a lot of Black people migrated to Utah because of the war, World War II. Mm-hmm. And so that's how a lot of Black people got to Salt Lake City at the Air Force Base in Clearfield, Utah, I believe it was. And so my grandfather met my grandmother there. He was basically the first Black entrepreneur in Salt Lake City, Utah. He had some clubs and he built his own house that's still standing today. He built a nursing home named after my grandmother, Claire Bell Nursing Home, because he found out during that time that when Black people were getting released from hospitals, they had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So he built and established a nursing home to have, for a place for Black people to be released to once they left the hospital. So that was in the family for quite some time, but things happen, and unfortunately the business is no longer there. But it is part of my family history in Salt Lake City. So that's how I got to. Well, and my dad's from Oakland, and my dad's actually from California, but.
Oh wow!
Yeah, okay. So he came to Salt Lake during the late 70s and met my mom, and voila, I'm here.
Hey,
So,
listen, shout out to
yeah.
that rich FBA history right there.
Right,
Yes, yes,
right.
yes, yes.
And not just, to give people a place to stay, after the war, but adequate health care, I'm sure,
Oh, yes.
medical
Mhm.
care and things like that, which is still needed. Medical apartheid is real, even in
Mm,
2025. So,
Yes,
right.
yes. He saw the need, and I feel like, that's obviously in my blood. You see a need and you want to do something about it,
mhm.
and this is why to segue into the event. It's kind of the reason why I have decided to host an event about reparations, because I just feel like it should be. I noticed that a lot of people weren't too aware of what the California reparations movement was, and
Right.
I just kind of want to be. I want to further the conversation and keep people informed, and so that's kind of how I see my role here.
Same here,
Excellent.
whenever I can,
Yes.
and give the message, I'm definitely talking about it, posting about it, screaming it from the rooftop. And what I've learned, when I'm out, in the streets and even in the store, if you're having a conversation with a Black person, sadly, a lot of people just don't know, because our community get their news from MSNBC, Fox News and things like that. So they're not getting what, we're trying to feed them. They don't know, about any of the assembly bills. They don't know anything. So it's
Right.
almost, when you have those conversations, it is a breath of fresh air for a lot of them. They're like, why don't I know this?
Hmm.
So I'm glad that we're here. Godcast is here, as well as you, to, further spread that message, here on the Godcast, in the digital streets, and, on the ground.
Definitely, definitely. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Now, do you do any type of speaking, or do you have your own podcast or something like that?
No, no. I don't have time for that right now, but
She booked and
I
busy.
don't. I see my role as just kind of maybe coordinating things. That I have some things down the line that I would love to do, but not right now. But
Well,
eventually, I've been on other people's channels before. I spoken,
Right.
so, but nothing of my own, not yet. Yes.
but you sound like you do this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that
She
stands
true
out
to
to me. Like
this.
I recognize stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Even like of course, obviously, you're very articulate, but everybody don't use terms like segue willy
Oh,
nilly like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, So, but yeah, maybe like you said, you got some plans. So we'll see. We'll see what you got in store. But
Yeah, hopefully.
you told us a little bit about the family history, but let us get that origin story. How you got into the justice movement, the economic justice movement, as well as the healing stuff that you do as well.
Oh yeah. So I first started when everybody was kind of doing the ADOS thing with some people, and Tiffany Quarles, who's going to be the one of the speakers on Sunday. I started out with her back in 2019, and so that's what really kind of sparked my passion for just community education and things like that. So I started out with her back in 2019, and things happened and kind of fell off, and so I wanted to pick things back up, because like I said, I just feel like reparations is a very purposeful thing for me, and so that's kind of the origins of how I kind of got started here. I started with Tiffany first. In the beginning, I remember our first meeting was at Queen Amina's in Leimert Park. It was like June of 2019, and I remember we organized a kind of canvassing thing for Juneteenth that year, and we were in Leimert Park. In Leimert Park, Juneteenth, no shade, it wasn't like it is right now. It was very, very kind of empty around that time, and it was right before, like, when George Floyd, everything kind of started picking back up. Right. So I was passing out flyers and doing that type of thing, and just kind of being engaged in that way. And then, like I said, things happened, and they kept, carrying the mantle, and I've been just observing and monitoring and just staying abreast of everything that was going on. And so I just feel like I had this idea actually last year around this time, the summer of last year, I got this download. I was like, I should do kind of like coordinate like an event. And it wasn't until a couple of Mondays ago, Camila had like another little community event in Pasadena, and I drove all the way to Pasadena to hear it. Yeah, Camilla Moore, the chair of the Reparations Task Force. I drove all the way to Pasadena, and it just kind of slipped out, to be quite honest. Like I didn't even, my day that day, I hadn't even planned on like approaching her about this. I was just talking, and I was like, I would love to do an event, reparations and relaxation. And she was like, okay. I was like, okay. So I just, I'm a woman of my word. And so here we are. And so I'm excited to just, sometimes you never know how the ancestors are going to move you. And it just literally just popped into my mind. And I was like, I didn't even recognize that I blurted it out. And I was like, okay, I said it, I put it out there. So now I have to do it. So
here we are.
That's a dope story.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my first question. So I'll ask, why do you think it's important to pair reparations with something political, with something political and heavy, with something as soft and nurturing as relaxation?
Yeah, because we're doing, reparations, this is hard work. Everything that we've had to do in this country has been hard work. And, we want to talk about resiliency. When we talk about trauma, resiliency is one of the things that you bring out, or you try to help someone that's gone through trauma to recognize that how resilient they are, because it's a strength, right? And it's an intervention. And so you want to talk about resiliency, you got to look at Foundation of Black Americans. We're the picture of it, you know what I mean? And so when I learned about sound bath meditation, when I got trained in it last year, I didn't know anything about sound bath meditation, but I just got offered to take the training. And once I kind of dived into like the beauties and the wonderful benefits of sound bath meditation, I said, well, why not? Our nervous system has to kind of be in this fight or flight in order to do reparations work, right? And then we need something to relax our nervous system while we're doing the work. So,
at the same time,
bridging the mental health with the advocacy and the justice work. It just hand in hand. So it's kind of what inspired me to kind of to bridge the two.
Yeah, and the mental work that goes into this. Obviously, she and I met at the emergency town hall after, our reparations bill was sabotaged by the California Legislative Caucus. So she and I met there. And so I can understand how nervous systems, can get out of whack, when you have something as important, as the bills that, we had the votes for, we were looking forward to, getting that chapter closed and moving on to something next in the reparations movement. So I can see why, the sound bath meditation would be something that gets incorporated with this movement.
Yes. It's, like I said, it's, it's tough work. It's very aggravating work, to see blatant sabotage, and, you never would see, and it's one of the things I want to really kind of highlight in our event. You'll never see, Alex Padilla do the things that he was doing, the things that the Black politicians did to us, to his constituency out here.
Absolutely not.
So you would never see any other politician, white, Black, or otherwise. You could see, Karen Bass and how everybody's going hard in the paint, for people who can't necessarily vote for them, how hard in the paint they're going in for them. And, but we have to deal with, setbacks, sabotage, being gaslit. And quite frankly, if I can put it, just bluntly, it's really abuse. If you think about relationships and politics, it's a relationship. It's quid pro quo. It's an exchange. Mm-hmm. And, just as a therapist, if I had a client in my office and, if we looked at how the Democratic Party treats Black people, and if Black people were my client and the Democratic Party was their partner, I would tell them, you're in an abusive relationship. You need to get out, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're in. We're in an abusive relationship. And when we're in relationships that are unequal and not reciprocal, that dysregulates our nervous system, puts us in that fight or flight, or quite frankly, Black people have been in a very shut down mode, and now people are recognizing, we're kind of waking up a little bit and getting our nervous systems in that fight mode, and folks don't really know because we've been dormant for so long. So
Right.
people don't really haven't seen this fight in quite some time, and neither have we. So it's
Right.
just, it's about
So
that
would you
time.
say? So would you say us delineating the way that we have been is likened to us getting out of that relationship, getting out of that abusive relationship?
Yes. Because if you think about it, one of the things, I teach a group. It's called Decode Your Nervous System Through Sound Bath Meditation, and so participants who come to the group, we learn about elements that dysregulate your nervous system, mental, emotional, and physical patterns that do that. And one of the mental patterns that dysregulate your nervous system is it's called a helper pattern, and these are the people that tend to put their own needs to the side to help other people. Mm-hmm. And if you think about how Black people have done, look, currently with the immigration rates, everybody's like, oh, you guys need to get out here and help us, or you'll be next. And we've been pushed in this position where we're supposed to put our needs to the side, that we get our self-worth as a people by helping other people, but putting our own needs to the side. And now we're kind of left with anything. And that's abusive. And because the relationships have to be reciprocal. So with Black people, we're one of our mental patterns, if you ask me my opinions, is we have a helper pattern. We tend to put our needs to the side to help everybody else. And then once the smoke is cleared, we're kind of left in the dust. And now, this is where we're at.
And that's a hangover from slavery, because that's what slavery is. You know what I'm saying? Your labor, your ingenuity, everything is for the benefit of other people.
Everyone else.
Exactly. And so that's why I kind of want to also bring in the importance of mindfulness meditation, and to kind of help us understand to regulate our nervous systems, right? To put from going from a state of chronic stress and dysregulation to a state of calm and restoration, so that we can, have better focus, better concentration, stamina, endurance as we, run this race of reparations. Because it may not happen in our lifetime, but I liken it to like football, right? Like there's, you have a running back, you have your wide receivers, you have all the, different positions, and each position is supposed to carry the ball to a certain yardage. And I feel like we're at the 50-yard line from slavery, Jim Crow, everything else. And so reparations is kind of like, in order to get to the end zone, is kind of I feel like our generation's, it's time to kind of pick up the ball and carry it up a few yards. We might get all the way up there, but we might get close to the end zone, and it might be the next generations to actually get the touchdown. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at things. So
great analogy. No, that's a great. That's a great analogy.
I'm sure we have a sports fan in here that knows about that.
That's it.
What does reparations look like for you, and what should it look like for the movement, as far as cash reparations? Should it be land? Should it be, scholarships? I'm on the side of, if it ain't cash, it ain't reparations. But what do you think?
Oh yeah. The money, cut the check, I get annoyed. I get annoyed when people are talking about, oh, we need land. I'm like, okay, you get land. What
I'll
you
buy
gonna
my
do with it? You ain't got no money.
Like, it's really that simple too. Like, it's really that simple. Like, all right, what you gonna do with the grass, my nigga?
Right.
You got to buy some soil, to, cultivate the land. You got to do something to cultivate the land if you have it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy to me. But I noticed that a lot of people, non, FBA freedmen people, as well as others outside of our race, basically always say, well, it should be land, or, it should be scholarships. You guys should be able to go to school. And it's like, I know how to go to school if I want to. There's already, grants and things like that. Reparations is not reparations unless it's cash payments.
Exactly. I mean, it's really across the board. We can have all of that, but I'm a student of Dr. Claude Anderson, and I mean, if we don't have no money, we can't be economically competitive. I mean, we can go,
right.
Everybody loves to tout that Black women are, leading in education, but that don't really,
it's not equating to,
Right.
economics. It's not,
It's
we're
not
still
changing
at
the
the
status
bottom.
quo. It's not changing the
Right.
status quo.
At
Right,
all.
right. And for me, I mean, that's what I want to see. It really saddens me, that's why I said I could kind of just see myself, as a cell in the body. I don't have to be all up in the video or anything like that. I prefer to be a little bit more in the background of things.
Me too.
But I, every day, I'm driving these streets of Los Angeles and I'm seeing homeless Black people everywhere. That saddens me. I
Yeah.
was driving the other day I was on La Brea and Century over there by the Ralphs. And, you see young Black boys selling waters, in the
Yeah.
street, which is fine. That's entrepreneurship. But, I keep these mental notes. I was driving off the 110 and I got off the 6th Street off ramp. And there was some brothers outside. I mean, you could tell able-bodied Black men, washing people's windows. I gave them whatever I had in my car, but it's like, I mean, for me, I can't just walk around and see something like that and I'm like, ho hum, yeah. It's like, no, we're really talking about like a serious problem here. Like you're seeing young Black kids on the streets, and I've worked in county, community mental health agencies out here. I did some work downtown in Skid Row, and I would really be dumbfounded by seeing young Black boys in Skid Row, and I'm like, this early.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's something wrong here that you guys are down here in Skid Row living like this and you're barely hitting 20. So that's a problem. And so, yeah.
And the other problem is when you hear people, some within our community and outside of it saying, well, Black people don't want these jobs. And it's like, no, they're locked out of these jobs. Hence why they're out on the side of the freeway cleaning windows, you know what I'm saying? And doing things like that because they're locked out of these jobs. They're locked out of these positions. Let's tell the truth about it. They don't want to be out there in the hot sun asking someone, can they wipe their windows for $1? They want a job.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah. And, I've dealt with, workplace racism out here and, luckily, if I didn't have the knowledge that I had about how to navigate workplace racism, I don't know where I would have been. But that's a very, I've heard so many different stories about one group ganging up on Black people to push them out of the jobs, and so that's a very real thing. I've experienced it myself. I know other people that are experiencing it, and so. Yeah, reparations is cash payment so that we can be economically whole and we could be really, I say economically safe because we're really not economically safe right now. We don't have any safety nets. We don't have any people going hard in the paint for us, to make sure that we have cards because we can't pay our rent or, things like that. Cash cards, we don't have mayors or other politicians saying like, okay, Black people are struggling here. Let's make sure that they have resources. Right. We don't have that. So we have to fight for it ourselves. So it's not a handout because if it was a handout, we would be straight. We got to fight for everything that we get. So
everything we get, we have to fight for. And you notice they never call it a handout when it's these other non-melanated groups. Even the melanated ones, that are not of our lineage.
Just
they never call it a
yeah.
handout for them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's compassion when it's for them.
Right.
But
very much so.
I wanted to ask you, but what you just touched on. We understand what you're saying about understanding workplace environment. I mean, workplace racism and all of that, and how to navigate that. You know what I'm saying? But what advice would you give, particularly to a young woman, just entering into the workforce who really, never studied Dr. Anderson and don't understand how those politics take place? What kind of advice would you give to a young woman just getting into, that corporate sector?
I would tell them to practice stoicism. Learn how to detach emotionally when you're on the job. I would say one, learn about Dr. Anderson, Neely Fuller. I listened to a lot of COWS podcasts when they were really active, and they did a lot of good work about workplace racism. So that would help me out too, like little tools and tips. But one of the things that I utilized, especially being the only Black social worker, maybe in the predominantly area like Hispanics or whites or whoever, I practice stoicism. where, you know, I was very, you know, my energy that I'd have in the room, it was pleasant and, you know, approachable, but, you know, I didn't show a whole lot of emotion in that aspect. So I would say for any Black person on the field, practice stoicism, be very good at your job, know your job like the back of your hand, so they can't ever say anything that you don't know it. That's what helped me survive. I think it was Jason Black said, and it always stuck in my head, be the smartest person in the room. And so that's what I would do. You know, I would know my job like the back of my hand. Like there could be nothing you could say or do that, you know, about my work ethic. So that's one thing. Learn stoicism, learn how to detach emotionally when you're on the job, learn your job to the best of your ability. And, you know, always document everything too, anything that you're doing with others. So.
Yeah.
Good
game.
Yep.
Good game.
Absolutely.
Now, did you say when you were talking with Camilla Moore and you received that download, is that the first time you made the connection between wellness and reparations?
Yes, in that moment.
In that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's and that was how long ago?
That was just 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, because listening to you talk, the connection it's like glaring, you know what I'm saying? It's like glaring, you know what I'm saying, how this is needed in this fight, you know what I'm saying, for us to be able to center ourselves, for us to be able to have the stamina and, you know, the energy that we need to move forward in this fight. How are we going to do it under all of this pressure with everything coming at us and we mentally not, you know, where we should be?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, I have to give it. I've been doing some ancestral work too. So it's real. So I think that's what happened in that moment. It just kind of down like that. And I'll say this. I've been doing some ancestral work, but also when we talk about the nervous system and the benefits of meditation and sound, that our body, our bodies, when we cut ourselves, right, it already knows how to heal itself. We don't ever think about, okay, if I cut myself, like how's my body going to heal this cut? It just automatically goes and does that. Our psyche has the same ability. Our psyche has the desire and drive to heal. We just have to create a environment for it to do so. And so sound meditation, breath work, particularly the type of breath work that I do with my clients is based off of holotropic breathwork, which was developed by a man by the name of Stan Graf. He used to do psychotherapy, but you know that got outlawed in the 70s. And so this type of breathwork helps you to kind of shut off your prefrontal cortex and helps you to kind of drop into that emotional brain. And that's where you can kind of get the level of downloads you need in order to, you know, fix your problem. So your psyche has the ability to heal. It has the ability to solve your own problems, but you have to create an internal homeostasis and harmony within your body to get those downloads. And so that's kind of what happened, you know, when I was talking to Camilla that day. It just kind of, the download just happened right then and there, because I've been doing, you know, trying to get my body into homeostasis. So, maybe I'm in complete harmony right now. So
I like it.
And that's when the download happened. So
I love it for you. I'm loving it for you.
Yeah.
Does that include refining your diet and everything like that as well?
Yes. I mean, I don't. Yes and no. Yes, obviously, okay. You know, you're gonna, you obviously want to have good. You don't want to be eating McDonald's all day and you not have like a good, because you know, obviously, nutrition can dysregulate your nervous system too. Right. So anything that you know, because I'm not the most healthiest eater every day, but you know, I like to have, you know, my junk food from time to time. But as long as you kind of keep a healthy balance and, you know, do whatever you can to know, you know, watch processed foods and things like that, because that can dysregulate your nervous system, then I think you should, you know, be able to find a good balance between nutrition and all that.
That's what I'm hearing.
Everything is balance.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And you know, to speak a little bit more about balance, some people might get into this wellness journey, the meditation stuff, the spiritual work, and all of that, and they just get stuck on that side of it and don't put any work in the three-dimensional world, in the three-dimensional realm. So I think that needs to be balanced as well. So, can you speak on that a little bit, like finding that equilibrium, not just
in terms of what I want to make sure, what's you say the other realm, what was the other, if you give me an example of like what you mean by that?
Because I hear some people they find spirituality, and particularly this happens a lot when people are like getting out of the church. They might have been grown up in Christianity real heavy and all of that, and then they come across this new information that kind of shocks the system, and everything that they believed in before, and then they just go down that rabbit hole into whatever the spiritual path it is, and meanwhile they're not doing any work in the real world, in the three-dimensional realm. They're not doing any work to better themselves or make their life to reach the goals that they're trying to reach. They think they can do all of the work in the spiritual realm, and then it's going to manifest in the real world for them.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, I would say then we're looking at maybe someone that's, utilizing this type of stuff as a coping skill, right? Mm-hmm. It's a way of healing, right? But it also could be very, we could take it overboard, and now it just becomes a way of coping with your daily life. So if I was someone, I guess I would say if I notice somebody doing that, or if someone's if this resonates to somebody, I would ask them to maybe think about what is potentially keeping you from actually applying what you're learning into your everyday life, right? Are you using this as a way just to kind of cope with life and to kind of escape from life? Are you in a state of denial, and this is how you're dealing with your state of denial? And so I would just simply ask somebody, okay, so what keeps you from applying what you're learning in the holistic world into your actual real life? What's getting in the way there? And that could open up the door for several different things that might be getting in the way. Really self-doubt, whatever your beliefs are about yourself and beliefs about the world could get into the way of you actually applying what you're learning.
Well, I appreciate that. That's a good answer. That's the answer I needed.
Okay.
That was a personal question.
Okay.
That was for somebody specific.
About Sunday's event. Is it only for women?
Oh no, it's for men. It just happened to be 3. And I was like, I hope people don't think this is like a woman-driven thing, because I'm not like that at all.
Right.
But it just happened to be the 3 women that's there. So
right.
So no, it's for everybody, men and women, please, everyone.
That's what I was asking, because I was like, well, how can men support? I want to make sure the men's.
Oh yeah, no,
you say the men's.
This is not a female. This is not I'm not like that at all. So trust and believe. Yeah. This is not a female-driven thing. It just happened to be that way. So everybody's involved. All hands on deck.
All hands on deck. Y'all heard it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you've been touching on it throughout this conversation, but one of the questions that I did have was, how do events like yours help to reframe reparations beyond policy into something that speaks to healing, rest, and cultural restoration?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan, is to kind of is to inform people about what's happening in California, right? But also to bridge and merge the importance of doing your own mental work and your own mental health. Because, I think I saw something, Ilana Van Zant said something, when you start your business or something, it starts to bring out kind of like your own deficiencies or something like that, like your own self-doubts, right? So as we work on something like this, like with reparations, and even myself, I'm noticing as I'm posting about, reparations and stuff, I'm feeling kind of my, I can say my attachment wounds kind of coming up with, early childhood experiences where I wasn't maybe supported, and, a lot of like kind of my deep subconscious, doubts about myself are coming out, and I have to be very intentional about, not letting doubt kind of like impede what I'm trying to do. So I would just, so that's what I really kind of want to be able to kind of really emphasize and highlight is like, as we're doing hard work, things are going to come up, things are going to get exposed, your own, maybe early childhood experiences, your own experiences with, achieving things and being consistent and disciplined in things, that kind of stuff comes out, and you want to just kind of be aware, not judge yourself, not be critical of yourself, but just really be aware of like, oh, I notice like as I'm doing this work, I'm dealing with a lot of like self-doubt, or I'm dealing with a lot of like anxiety, or I'm dealing with like some depression here, and that might lead into some deeper things that are there. It's just that reparations or whatever you're doing is kind of like the trigger, and it's just kind of, opening up Pandora's box in that way. And I look at it, all it is just making you aware of what you need to improve on, making you aware of what you need to heal on, not to be critical of yourself or to be doubtful of yourself or to be, defeated or discouraged. That happens from time to time, and it's okay to say, oh, I feel a bit discouraged, I'm feeling a bit avoidant, I'm feeling a bit disheartened and disillusioned. And that's okay to at least recognize that and be aware of it, but not to get stuck there and like make a decision off of that, right?
Whoa.
So that's what happens if we're feeling discouraged. That doesn't mean we have to say, oh, because I'm feeling discouraged, now I don't want to do reparations work.
Right.
And it's okay to
right. No, we can say we're of course we can validate that, and of course we're feeling hard work. This is David and Goliath. We're going against that is deliberately ignoring us, deliberately trying to put us in a permanent underclass. This is not easy work. So you're going to feel discouraged. You're going to feel disillusioned. You don't have to make a decision off of that just because you feel that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's very lonely, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times your own friends, family, other Black folks that's around you, they look at you like an alien or something, you know what I'm saying? Like you're doing something wrong. So it will, if you already have that self-doubt, you know what I'm saying, it's going to compound that.
Of course. Yeah. So support and how well people support you or how well other people understand, that plays a part too. But I think what keeps me kind of encouraged is just knowing that, most people are sheep, and, and I don't say that in a disparaging way, but, it takes real courage and bravery to kind of step outside of your comfort zone. So, that is, I feel like this just kind of, if we can kind of just accept that some people are just not going to get it, that's
Everybody
okay.
Can't go.
Everybody can't go. You still, I would say that's my fear. If I have to be completely vulnerable and honest, like my biggest fear right now is like, okay, I don't want to get to be in my 60s or 70s and like the generation behind us are looking at us and be like, what did these millennials do? Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we look at the civil rights generation. It's like I'm watching old clips of like Dr. Anderson and I'm seeing all these people and I'm like, wait, you guys were listening to all this good game and like we're basically living what he said is going to happen.
Right.
So that's my fear. To be quite honest, I don't want the YNs to be like, what are these old niggas doing? I'm being completely honest.
That's a fact though.
I don't want that to be I don't want that on my heart as I get older.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that one.
For sure. I'm constantly, talking to mine because, one, I don't want no little, not just a YN, but a little goon. I'm sorry, I have to say, you're not somebody that's going to be walking around here that don't give a care about your people. You know what I'm saying? And I try to bring him around to some of the events and stuff like that because I want to ignite that spirit in him as well.
Exactly. He's going to need it. And I don't have children. So, and so when I see, other Black kids and stuff like that, I feel like we got to do something because I think like, what if our ancestors decided not to do anything? Like, what if they were just like, oh, okay, we're just okay with being on the plantation. Oh, we're just okay with being, in Jim Crow City. Oh, we're just okay. We wouldn't even be here today, us three, just having a conversation. And so, we got to do something. We can't have people like Neely Fuller, Dr. Claude Anderson, all these people all these thought leaders, like their stuff can't just go in vain. Like that's just, I mean, at the end of the day, we got to have some sort of like, pride in what people are, our prophets and what people have been trying to warn us about before any one of us was even thought of. We have to do something. Like I said, even if it's just moving the ball up a few yards, I think that's good enough.
Agreed. And speaking of spirit realm, and the ancestors, what are your thoughts on these recent fires and things like that that's mysteriously happening on these plantations and the people drowning at Lake Lanier and all this stuff? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with some of the other whatever people saying. Like, it's obviously it's something ancestral that's happened. Actually, in the ancestor class that I'm in, he was talking about how, which is interesting because, the Palisades fire started on a Tuesday. And one of the things that he was saying is that when kind of like the ancestors move, there's some sort of like natural disaster. It usually happens on a Sunday and a Tuesday. Wow. So it's interesting how, that Palisades fire, started on a Tuesday. If you want to know if I put my little, conspiracy hat on, the kufi. We talk about Mitrice Richardson. Remember, Mitrice Richardson died in Malibu. Remember, when she was mysteriously, died in Malibu, and her body wasn't found for like almost a year. And she was found in that ravine, and that's where the Palisades fire happened. Was over there.
Now this is the one who kind of got arrested. They let her out at wee hours, and she just, was never seen again. Is that
right? Because she was on PCH, and one of those. And I don't know, Nicey, you've been to some of the restaurants over there in Malibu on PCH. Yep. There's no sidewalks.
Sidewalks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So she was, I guess something happened where she didn't pay a bill. She was in one of those restaurants, and they kicked her out, and she went walking. And apparently, the sheriffs picked her up and apparently let her go, but end up finding her almost a year later in one of the up in the Santa Monica Mountains, and that's where the Palisades fire happened, was in the Palisades Mountains. So
wow, I was not familiar with that story.
Yeah, beautiful girl too. We all have our theories on that.
Yeah. So no, I agree with all the natural disasters, the plantations burning down, Lake Lanier. Like, yes, I'm all on that school of thought there.
So reparations and relaxation, the relaxation aspect of it. Do you think that our ability to rest has been denied to us intentionally? Or is it that we have this grind culture where we always got to be on the grind, sleep is the cousin of death and all of that? Or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think, when a lot of people don't know how to rest, a lot of people don't know how to be still. And I think I would agree that it's a lot of the kind of like, you got to keep moving culture, especially for Black people, because we just don't have the luxury of, sometimes being able to lay our head down and just kind of kick up our feet from time to time, because we're always attacked and we're at in a constant threat. Whether it's housing, being displaced there, working, having to deal with workplace racism, or just kind of being in doing your everyday thing. And there was that whole it seemed like incidences of Black people just getting, the cops calling on them for no reason. So it's like, we don't really get an opportunity to really say, oh, I want to, rest, because, you could walk out the door and someone could think that you're a threat. And then now you're constantly in that kind of hypervigilance and that kind of flight. So everything you see around you is, a threat. And so, yes, I think it's, I think it's the, the system that we live in that creates an inability to really relax. And then I also think it's also self-imposed and culturally imposed that, like, if you're not working hard enough, you're not going anywhere. I think you can have a balance between the both. You don't want, you have to be able to find ways to decompress. You got to find ways to find joy in life. Not everything has to be so hard and so tough. You have to find some joys in life, and that's okay. And I think that's important for us to know, that we can give ourselves permission to do these things. We can validate and say it's okay to do these things. It's perfectly well within our right. It's actually needed to be able to do these things. Our relationship with ourselves improves, and our relationship with other people improve when we're in a better healing space. I mean, when we're all, walking around with, unprocessed traumas, and then we interact with each other. No wonder why we can't get along with each other, because everybody's dealing with their own stuff. Yeah.
And we're tired. And we're saying,
Yeah.
that's funny that Sincere asked that question, because, it's a lot of, people that basically say that we're lazy, and them having, 13 jobs is some type of, claim to, I don't know, fame, but it's like, with fun, or, why should someone have to work that hard? Not to say hard work is a bad thing, you know what I mean? But what's wrong with going to a job, if that's what you have, an 8-hour job or a 10-hour job, and coming home and enjoying your family or enjoying your rest? Why do I need to work, 5 jobs in order to feel like I'm doing something better than the next person who's working 8 hours a day?
Exactly. I come from the premise, like, work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, I don't know about this hard work stuff, but I'm looking at mine like, okay, how can I cut some time down here? Like, I'm not trying to work 3 or 4 jobs. So if people who want to come to the country, if they feel like, that, is what they need to do. Yeah, and they have to. We don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they have to. You're driving Uber, working in the fast food chain, where, back in the days, teenagers, pretty much were doing that. And there's no shade, in that. Or you're coming here to go to school, get educated, and still a little shade. And, but we understand, our worth. We're going on these jobs and asking for what we're worth. We are demanding that we get benefits and things like that. We're not working for crumbs if we don't have to. Not to say we're above that either, because most of us, if you're a parent, you're going to do what you have to do to make sure you to survive and provide a roof over your kid's head. But that's not something we plan on doing long either.
Exactly. I mean, Black people are not lazy. We're not lazy people by no stretch of the imagination. We're the type of people that, we know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. We're not, just because we're not, clocking in at somebody's job every day doesn't mean that we're lazy. To be quite frank, like, that's probably like the worst. For me, like, I'm working for a Black-owned private practice, and I can't tell you the level of freedom that I have. Right. The thought of going back and working for, I call it the ghetto, working for the county or the city. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the suburbs. Going to the ghetto? Like, oh my God.
Ghetto.
So no, like, I'm working just as, quote unquote hard. I don't even have to say those words, because, the proof is in the pudding. I don't have to, go around and say, oh, I'm working so hard. But no, we're not lazy by no stretch of the imagination. There's no way they would have been able to build this country off of a group of lazy people. Right. And if we were so lazy, why are we in everybody's mouth if we're so lazy? I don't talk about lazy people.
Right.
Why do you need my lazy behind out here stomping for you?
Exactly. So no, we're not lazy people at all. We're very, as Dr. Klein, we're very exceptional people. We're very resilient people, and clearly we're there. I always say this, like, what is it about us that we have a whole global system to keep us at the bottom? Like, we must be some pretty badass people. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like,
and
we
look,
must be, yeah.
This is what I'm thinking throughout this whole conversation, because just talking about how many of us are not centered. Like you said, we have these disrupted, I don't know if that's the word you use, but these disrupted nervous systems and all of that stuff. And look what we're able to accomplish in spite of all of that. You know what I'm saying? We're still the cultural superpower of the world. We're still, among the most accomplished ethnic groups on the planet, you know what I'm saying? As far as the things that we've invented, our ingenuity, our music, just everything, that we've been able to accomplish in spite of us being in this ill mental state, this ill emotional state and all of that. So imagine what we'd be able to accomplish healed.
Exactly. Right. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because when I learned about sound bath and breath work, I noticed that we're not in any of these conversations. Black people. No. You have some of the biggest scholars that are talking about this level of like healing, right? That they all know about, and I'm like, okay, we need to know this. Like,
and this is our ancestral work, by the way. Like, as our ancestors that, brought this science to the table. So they know us better than we know us.
Exactly. And so I'm like, I'm still learning, and I'm not, I'm by far not like super proficient in it. I'm still learning because it's very vast, but just by the little things that I have learned and I know, and I'm putting it into practice with my own clients, I'm like, this is some really true powerful stuff. So that's why I wanted to bring, I wanted to do reparations and the relaxation part to it, because it's very powerful and it's very transformative. I mean, even if you don't think anything is happening, something is happening. Just that you expose your nervous system to something as beautiful as, the sound of crystal singing bowls or, chimes or whatever, anything that's, has a high frequency, the fact that you just, expose yourself to that is you're doing something for yourself. So I'm, I learn in these different non-Black spaces, and I love kind of, this is how I compete. I like to compete, and not with my own people, but I like to compete with the dominant society, because I want to see, what I can learn and get. And so I again, I'm a student of Neely Fuller. I remember he said one time, he's like, you go and learn their education and you bring it back to your people. And I feel like that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm learning what I've learned, and I want to bring it back to help, my folks. And I feel that that's purposeful. I feel like, that gives me life. It helps you to, feel, joy in life. And so I just want to be able to bring this level of healing as much as possible to, whomever is willing to, engage in it.
Receive it.
Yeah.
The food that's set behind the door.
Exactly.
And explain, if you will, for people who may not know, what is a sound bath? What is breath work? Yeah.
So sound bath is, it's usually with different instruments. Usually you'll see the crystal singing bowls when you play them. They have, each one of them are built on, different chakras in your body. So, you have the root, the sacral, the throat, the third eye, the crown chakra. And so each one of the bowls are actually a note, and if you're playing it at 432 hertz, it's said to penetrate your body faster. I could get into all the deep details of the sound, but yeah, so it's just basically, you're playing different instruments, making different sounds, making different frequencies. And it's just very soothing, very relaxing. I play with a gong. I have a couple other interesting instruments that I'm learning how to play, because it's not just getting out there and just like, taking a mallet against some bowls. Like, you actually really have to learn how to like harmonize and play everything. And and so that's basically what a sound bath is. It's just different frequencies and sounds based off of the chakras. And it's just another form of meditation. However you decide to meditate, this is just another form of meditation.
Yeah, it's dope. I've experienced it myself. It's dope. I used to go to this wellness center in New York where they would, align your body and all of that, get your spine all aligned and everything. And they barely touch you. There's a thing to do. It's not like a deep tissue massage or anything like that. It's like they're going around your body, just tweaking little things to get you back in alignment. And then they would use the singing bowl. That was one of the things that they would use, to help get your body realigned.
Right.
So it's pretty dope.
That, as I'm doing my research, they talk about how sound, sound travels at like 186,000 miles per second, and so basically, sound is actually much more proficient in addressing an injury. Not that medication isn't, but you get 100% of the information if there's like an injury. So if you use sound or any sort of like sound therapy, it actually has. There's research that says that it actually has faster healing properties than just your. Not saying that medication isn't appropriate, but there is science to say that sound actually helps heal injuries much faster than medicine.
Yeah, that's ancient. That's ancient.
Yes, very much so.
Indeed. So would you say that with that science, our music has been weaponized against us?
Oh, definitely. In terms of yes, I mean what we're listening to now in terms of frequency. Right. We're definitely listening to things on a much lower level of frequency. So, music is the frequency of love. So, and it also impacts us emotionally. So if we're not listening to anything that is that stimulates that limbic system, stimulates that emotional brain, we're definitely not operating on the highest frequency that we can possibly operate on. So even in my own work, I always, encourage my clients to have a sonic prescription, have some sort of music or a playlist that helps you to access sadness, or something that helps you to access, joy, or something that can, a song or a playlist that kind of represents what you're feeling on the inside. Maybe you don't have the language to say it yourself, but you can use it through music, and so music touches the soul, and it touches the heart, and it, penetrates that, like I said, that emotional brain, and it's definitely healing.
So you would say for someone who's feeling sadness or, depression or whatever, that they should listen to a music that reinforces that?
Yes.
Why is that important?
Why?
Because we're emotional creatures. We have to emote. We have to use a lot of. There's a lot of negative perception about emotions that and so we get a lot of negative messaging about emotions. Boys don't cry. You'll be a little sissy. Don't be a punk, right? Or some women being overly emotional about things and not being able to regulate your emotions. We have to allow our emotions to take its course. Emotions are actually good. Our emotions are good. They are there to inform us. It's there to heal us. There's a saying, if you don't feel, you cannot heal. So you have to allow your emotions to take your course. And so what happens is that we'll feel something. Let's say we feel sadness, right? Something gets triggered, it's a memory, and it makes you feel sad. And the first thing you're going to do one or two things with emotions. You're going to turn your emotion up, right? So you get angry, you'll show your anger, or you're going to turn it down, right? You're going to stuff it or suppress it or avoid it, or you're going to numb out and you're going to, not feel. And there's a lot of people out there who are very disconnected from their emotions because, there's a fear of uncontrollability, or a fear that they're not going to be, it's foreign, a fear that they're not going to be able to handle their emotions. But we can handle our emotions. And when I talk about how our psyche has a desire to heal, that's part of healing. Is we have to feel our emotions. We have to feel it. We don't get stuck there. You don't get stuck in the emotion, but you recognize what it's there for and what it's there to kind of teach you, inform you.
You got to go through it to get through it.
And yeah, so you listen to something sad. You listen to a song that helps ignite that sadness, that help brings it up, right? And so that you can feel the sadness and that you can have an encounter with that sadness. So what's that sadness associated with? Is it with a lost loved one? Is it maybe you're disappointed in yourself, you can have an encounter, meaning, talk to it, like let it process the emotion. You can have an encounter with it so that it can kind of move through, and that you're not kind of holding on to it. Because if we talk about dysregulated nervous systems, the one thing that's going to dysregulate your nervous system is when you're holding on to emotion. Holding on to emotion is like, holding on to bleach in your mouth. You're not going to, want to hold bleach in your mouth because it's toxic, right? Emotions, if two unprocessed emotions, can be just as toxic and just as heavy and weighs you down, as opposed to just allowing the emotion to kind of move through you, recognize it, why it's there, what's it there to tell you. It's there to inform you. It's there to organize your world, and, heal from whatever is associated with that emotion.
Do you recommend writing it down? Maybe writing it down.
Oh, of course. Journaling, music, talking about it. Yeah, and when I emotionally focused therapy, that's kind of what I do. Is that this is a level of psychotherapy that works with emotion primarily, and so it's a very powerful. It's based off attachment science. So a lot of our emotions are directly impacted by our early life attachment figures, the three core needs that we did or did not get when we were younger. And so, yes, any way you want to deal with emotion, whether it's talking about it, journaling about it, listening to music, whatever you feel like is best for you, I would encourage you doing that. And, addressing some attachment wounds, addressing some early attachment issues, can help us process our emotions a little bit better.
This is game right here, family.
Right.
This is free game right here. Actually, that'll be 300 for the first hour. We'll talk about the rates going forward.
No, I love this. I love this work, and this level of psychotherapy. Like I said, when I'm in these spaces, ain't none of us in there.
Right.
And so I'm like, I want to, it's cool stuff. It's interesting stuff. And, I want to be able to, spread the word.
How many states does your license cover?
Right now, just California.
Just California.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sucks for us, y'all.
So if someone in California was seeking someone for your services, how do they connect with you?
There you go.
Yeah, check me out. Or just I contract with a dope private practice called Epiphany Counseling, Consulting, and Treatment. We're in San Pedro. We do virtual, we do in person. So you can always check them out. Check us out on our website. It's eccts.com, Epiphany Counseling, Consulting, and Treatment. And we have great therapists. We have great services with the private practice. Like I said, it's a Black-owned private practice, and we're growing, and we're doing some great out-of-the-box things when it comes to therapy and mental health. We're community-based, so we're in Nicholson Gardens, we're in Watts, we're everywhere. So yeah.
And I'm putting the link to that website in the chat right now for anybody that might be interested. There goes the link right there in the chat, and I will make sure I put it in the description after this live stream is over as well.
And what is the thing that you want every listener to start doing today when it comes to advocating for reparations? What can we all be doing?
Well, come to the event on July 20th.
I'll be there.
That's one.
I ain't catch that. What was that?
I asked her, what is something, what can...
No, I heard the question. I didn't hear the answer.
Oh.
I said, come to the event at Center for Mental Health, CMS Wellness, on July 20th. That's one thing you can do. But I also just say, get involved. Whoever that's talking about reparations, read up, educate yourself, get an understanding of the importance and why we need reparations, and not so much why, like it's required if we want to survive in this country. So that's what I would say. Just, educate and, and keep yourself informed. That's why I'm doing the event, because I noticed during the I followed the California Reparations Task Force from the,
CJ.
from the beginning. And yeah, and one of the things I noticed, it was like kind of mid, like close to when they were almost about to do their final report. There was supposed to be a push to, to disseminate the information about what was happening with the task force, and there was sabotage there too. And so I noticed that just your regular average person, your regular average Black person who's trying to put gas in their tank, trying to, we live in California. It's expensive to live out here. Groceries are high, gas is high. And I'm like, does the average Black person know about what's happening in California in terms of reparations? Because if you're a California native, right, there was a little calculator that one of the reporters that were following the task force, I think her name was like Wendy Fry or something like that. She had like a little calculator, and if you were here at the time that Governor Newsom signed AB 3121, that you meet the residential requirements, right? So someone like you, Nicey, who's a California native, LA native, you're sitting on millions.
Run me my money.
Like, I don't think people really, you're sitting on millions.
Run me my money.
Run me my money.
Yeah. So I think we need to know that, like, this is a real thing. I mean, if this is a real viable thing, and if people, regardless of how you feel about, like, I don't really like to get into arguments with Black people about, I don't like to get into circular conversations, because it's like we're both chained at the bottom of the boat and we're just arguing. Like what is that going to do? Like, that's silly to me. So, even if you have an opinion, maybe a negative opinion about reparations, i.e. they're not going to give us anything, I would question, like, what's happening on the inside here? Like, what is it about the term reparation that gets you stirred up? So if you're that type of person that may not like really truly believe in it, that's fine. That's okay. But if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But let the people who do believe that it's a possibility that can happen, let them just do. I mean, let us. If we fail, we fail. At least we can say we tried, right? We didn't just give up on something because we had a bunch of naysayers say they're not going to give us anything.
That's what I said.
But if you're a California native, like, you're sitting on millions. Like, I'm not even a California native. Like, and I just looked at what I would get. And I'm like, that's a nice piece of that's life-changing money right there. So if you're born and raised, you didn't move, you've been here, your family's been here, you are literally sitting on millions.
You're not a California native, but you said your family came from Oakland, though, right? Before Utah.
Yes. Yes. But I wasn't born and raised here. And so, but yes, my father's from Oakland.
By the way, in Utah, the 1% of Black people there is mostly FBAs, or do they have like an immigrant population as well?
Primarily FBAs. It's funny. There's a lot more Black immigrants there now. If you guys ever get a chance to watch the musical play, The Book of Mormon, because Salt Lake City, Utah is very, Mormon controlled. But it's funny, if you ever watch the musical, The Book of Mormon, it's funny when they go on the mission that they go to Africa, and in that play, the promised land is Salt Lake City. and so it makes sense now, because I was wondering, I was like, there's a lot of Africans in Salt Lake City now. And they do a lot of missionary work out there in Africa, and they all come to Salt Lake City thinking it's going to be the Mecca of prosperity. So yes, there's a larger African population out there. I haven't, I go back every a couple of times a year, but in terms of just foundational Black Americans, the 1% is usually us there.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to my brother Black Voltron Reloaded in the building. Y'all make sure y'all paying attention to the links. He's been dropping links the whole stream, relevant links to the conversation that we're having. The website is in there. A couple of other things that he's dropped since we've been on here. So we appreciate you, bro. But yeah, man, this has been, Real good conversation. A lot of good information in tonight's conversation. When is the event again?
This Sunday.
July, this July 20th at 3 p.m. at CMS Wellness in Compton. And I really want to highlight CMS Wellness because this is one of my colleagues and she's doing such great work. She inherited her grandmother's house. You know, instead of like selling grandma's house, she took grandma's house and she's transformed it into a wellness and workspace. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have it there. I really wanted to highlight what she's doing in Compton and what she's doing at CMS Wellness. And so I want people to network and be able to make connections with what she's doing. She's doing great work. And I love what she's doing with her grandmother's house and how she's transforming it into this, you know, community space for people. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to have it there.
Shout out to Crew Reality in the building. I see you, King. Would you suggest people bring their children?
Oh, of course, yes. We'll have mats and stuff there. If you want to bring your own yoga mat, you can, or whatever.
Well-behaved children. Well-behaved children. don't bring your bad ass kid.
Yeah, and if you got some that are a little bit rambunctious, you know, we'll handle those too. But yes, it's family friendly. It's gonna be a great community networking thing. And like I said, I want to highlight CMS Wellness and all the great things that she's doing there. We'll have refreshments. You know, when I do things, I'm not sloppy with it. So, you know, I try to make sure people are going to have I want to create a very nice environment and people have a very good time. So I don't do sloppy work.
Will this be ongoing? Will this be reoccurring?
Sure, of course. I really want to be able to bring some people out to Salt Lake City and also do a little event there. You know, educating people in Utah about what's happening in California as well. So of course, like I want to definitely coordinate more events as much as possible.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds real good. So nice. Do you want to start winding it down? How we do?
Yes. And she did say that she's looked at a few shows, so we'll see if she got this one. What is?
Oh, don't do that to me because I haven't seen all of it.
Not bad. It's not bad.
Okay, I might not know.
Eugene, what does freedom and power mean to you?
What does freedom and power mean to me? Okay, that's not too bad. Freedom and power means to me your ability to be able to live the way you want to live, to be able to, you know, live your purpose. We all have a God-given right to be safe in this world. And so that's what freedom and power to me is safety. I want to be able to roam wherever I want to go. I want to be able to, if, have control and agency over myself, have power over, feel empowered. And for me, it's safety. I want to be able to walk out of my front door and feel safe. I want to be able to be with my family and feel safe. I want to be able to go wherever I want to go in the world and be safe. And so that's what freedom and power means to me.
Yes,
safety.
Indeed.
I think that's a new one in those words.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think I could put you on the Summer Jam screen. This is the part where I usually put you on the Summer Jam screen and let you have the last word. You know, let me see if I could do this.
Hey, we did it.
Yeah. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
All right. Cool. So, you now have the microphone. The entire Black community is listening. What parting words would you like to leave us all with this evening?
Oh, okay. Well, I care about Black people. I care about us. I do think we're exceptional people. I think we're amazing people. I think we're mighty, and we deserve to have everything that we desire in this world. It is not our lot in life to be oppressed or marginalized or disenfranchised. That is not our lot in life. And I believe that Black people have everything that we need on the inside to prosper and to live in abundance. And so I just hope that I can be, a cell in this body, and I feel like this is, where I feel like I can do my best work by coordinating and making sure that people are informed and educated on what's happening in the world. And at the end of the day, I'm going to come back down to the basic safety. I want Black people to feel safe in this world. I want you to feel safe in whatever you just choose to do. And and so that's kind of where my passion and where I'm centered at is. I want to see Black people to feel safe and doing whatever they feel to fulfill their heart's desires. So there you go.
Indeed.
That's
yes,
my
indeed.
spiel.
Yes, indeed. Now look, that sounds good, but don't you think if we get reparations, niggas just gonna buy gold teeth and rims
So what?
and trick the money on?
Absolutely not. We're gonna blow people out the water. To be quite frank, I mean, there's so many Black. I frequent Black businesses all the time, and there's some amazing Black businesses out there. They just don't have the resources. I mean, we are an exceptional people, and we are prosperous people. And the first check that lands in people's account, I mean, we're gonna blow people off the water, and I can say that unapologetically. And that's what if they thought we were gonna just trick it off, if we were gonna be a Dave, if we were gonna be a Dave Chappelle skit, that Dave Chappelle skit when they all got reparations, if we were gonna be that, we would have had it already. They would have gave it to us already. If we were gonna just like trick it off that way, absolutely not. There's everybody has a dream. They just need a dollar.
Right. That's a shirt. Everyone has a dream. They just need $1. That's a quote
there
right
you go.
there.
Nice to you there. There you go.
Nice. He started to think like an entrepreneur.
I'm gonna give that to you. I'm gonna give that to you.
I'm like, that's a for that.
I'll give you credit.
Yeah.
The first 2 times I say it, I'll give you credit. After that, it's me.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Like I was a little nervous. I'm like, I was like, but you guys made me feel so comfortable and at home, and I'm like, okay, I'm with family, so that's
absolutely. Good. And reach out to me anytime. I'm here in the city, of course. Anything that I can do for the event to help you, I'm near. So definitely let me know, and I will definitely be there on Sunday. But if there's anything that I can do, let me know.
Yep.
You've done enough just putting it on your page and just supporting that. Like that was, it takes a lot of courage to like step outside of your comfort zone and to do something like this, because you just never know how people are going to respond to it. So the very fact that you just put it on your page and, I appreciate that. Like that, you did enough for me to be quite frankly. And you're doing such great work. I follow everything that you do, and I support. You went viral that one time during the ice race, and I was like, look at her. Yeah, you were in there. You were in there fighting folks on X. So I was like. So like I said, I'm not always all up in the video, but I'm definitely paying attention to what people are doing.
No doubt. Well, we appreciate you. It's nice meeting you. Nice chopping it up with you. If you ever need to come back on to promote anything else, just let us know. Please. Whatever you got going on, you know what I'm saying? We'll definitely love to have you back.
Oh yes, thank you for having me.
All right, family. That does it for today's episode of Sincereluvdagod Cast. Appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Again, make sure that y'all liking, sharing, subscribing, all of that good stuff on your way out the door. If you're watching this on the replay, shout out to you as well. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about tonight's broadcast with our guest, Miss Dennae Wright. And yeah, that's it. So never forget, family. Always remember, we are not the master teachers, but we are the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. We out of here. Peace.